What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to the channel. Before we get into this, please make sure you subscribe. If you're new here, my name is Izzy and I'm a journalist, and I make videos here on YouTube where I visit different animal shelters. I speak to them about the work they do, but also raising awareness on different topics and issues, and speaking about the challenges that they face day to day. I also speak to different charities and organisations about how they help animals change people's lives. This can be from hearing dogs to guide dogs to animal assisted therapy. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this, and let's find out where we are off to today. Hello, good morning. Today I'm off to Brinsley Animal Rescue in Nottingham. Now you're probably thinking, why on earth are you in Nottingham? How random. But I've been working here all week, so I've been staying at a B&B, which you just saw me check out of. So I thought I'd pay Brinsley a little visit. Now Brinsley Animal Rescue, they've been rescuing pets as well as wild animals since 2001, and then in 2007 they were able to get the land and facilities to set up the rescue. So I'm going to head there now and find out a little bit more about their story, as well as a story about one of the animals. It's about half an hour drive from where I'm staying, so I'm going to set off now and find out a little bit more.
That's more. You're really friendly, aren't you?
So I'm here at Brinsley Animal Rescue, and this is Jamie, and he came into the shelter about a week ago after he was hit by a car. So I'm going to find out a little bit more about his story as well as the work they do. So yeah, let's go and find out a bit more.
You see him in the morning, he gets dead excited when...
Hello, hello. Never seen someone so happy. Hello.
Hey. Hey, young man. Hello. How are you doing?
So tell me all about how the shelter all started.
So I met my partner Beth back in about 2000, and we share a passion for animals. We both started volunteering for different animal rescues, and very quickly we realised that there's a huge amount of unwanted pets, people going to breeders, people going to pet shops, then they don't want the animal, and rescues are absolutely chock-a-block. But then also we volunteered for a charity that picked up sick and injured wildlife, but we found very few places to take them. So we moved here, the house we've got now, we've moved here, we've got 4 acres. Our plan in life, being environmentalists, we met with Greenpeace, being environmental activists. We wanted to live sustainable lives, grow our own fruit and veg. We started rescuing animals a little bit, and it grew, and we rescued some goats. They ate all our orchard, and then here we are, sort of 2025, and animals have taken over our lives, really. So we once animals took over our home, we basically, it was costing a lot of money. We decided we had to set up a charity. We had to try and fund this somehow. So back in 2009 we formed the charity and then became a registered charity, and steadily, year on year, as an organisation, we have grown. So we now have 27 acres at 3 locations, all very close. We rescue wild animals, so all kinds of wild animals. So that's pigeons, it can be hedgehogs, it's multiple birds of prey, all the species. We rescue deer, foxes, badgers, pretty much any kind of wild animal we will rescue. We'll rehabilitate them and we'll release them back into the wild. We have a fully equipped wildlife hospital. We also rescue farm animals, so that can be sheep, it can be goats, it can be pigs, and it can be cows. So we rescue all kinds of cows. We get quite a lot of cows from the dairy industry. What people don't realise is for a cow to produce milk, they've got to have a baby. That's why they produce milk, not for us, but for their baby. Those calves get killed. So we have, over the years, rescued quite a few calves, hand-reared them and rehomed them. So we've got a 12-acre field that's full of cows and a cow shed. We also have a lot of equine, so ponies and horses. Pet-wise, we rescue guinea pigs, and predominantly guinea pigs and cats and rabbits. And the aims and objectives of the charity, we run on vegan values, so we don't believe in eating animals, we don't believe in exploiting animals for profit, for fun or anything like that. So what we aim to do is to, when we admit animals, is to get them healthy, get them neutered, get them wormed, etc., and find them lifelong loving homes. We don't see the difference in rehoming a pair of rabbits into a loving home to rehoming 2 sheep or 2 pigs or 2 goats to a loving home. Whereas wild animals, the aim is to release those back into the wild.
And what is the main ethos and what you stand for here?
Our main ethos here is trying to offset some of the horrific cruelty and suffering that humans inflict on animals. So whether that's the farming industry, where we really just are hideously cruel and horrible to animals, we try and offset a little bit of that. But also, when you think of wild animals are really suffering. They're suffering because of climate change. This year we've seen an unprecedented dry spring and summer. We're seeing the effects of that. So meat-eating animals like corvids, magpies, crows, jackdaws coming in with diet-related deformities. So they're getting such poor diet from their parents that they're becoming deformed. We're getting hedgehogs coming in that are extremely dehydrated, malnourished. So we're trying to offset some of that, as well as the impact of people sterilised gardens, plastic grass, pesticides. People just seem to obliterate all wildlife in their gardens. So we're trying to offset a little bit of that as much as we can. But then also pets. We used to turn away between sort of 500 and 600 pets a year. That's cats, rabbits, dogs even. We don't take dogs in, but we turn dogs away every single day of the week, sadly. So we used to turn away around 500 to 600 animals a year. Pre-COVID, post-COVID, it's over 2,000. Because sadly, most people, they want a puppy, they want a kitten, they want a designer breed, they want a fashionable Frenchie. They go to a breeder, pay a stupid price for the animal, and then things don't work out. They haven't done their research, or there's been a change of circumstances, and that's when we get the phone call. I need to give up my pet. I'm really sorry. We're full. So really, it's always one in, one out. So as soon as we rehome an animal, that creates a space to rescue another one. So another part of what we do is as well as rescuing animals, is educating people. So that's partly educating people on animal welfare, animal behaviour, treating animals. A lot of our volunteers come here and they learn all those skills, and what's involved in looking after cows, what's involved in looking after rabbits, to do it properly. But then we try to educate the public as well. So when we get phone calls this time of year, we will get maybe 50 to 60 phone calls a day, predominantly wildlife, and a lot of those cases, those animals don't need rescuing. They're fledglings, they're living on the ground naturally. So we try to educate people and inform them. Somebody may contact us to give up a cat or a rabbit. The first thing we'll try and do is help them to understand why they need to give up that pet. Can we help them keep that pet? A typical one, we often get phone calls for aggressive animals, particularly males. And we say, they've got a male rabbit and it's aggressive. Is he castrated? No. Is he living on his own? Yes. That's why you've got an aggressive rabbit, because you haven't gone to a rescue and got good advice. That rabbit, it's a colony animal. In the wild, they live in large groups. On its own, it's very, very bored, it's very frustrated. Get him castrated, get him a partner, and you'll have a lovely rabbit. So it's rescuing animals, and as much as we can is trying to educate and inform the public.
So we'll start with pets and farm animals. What do you think are the main topics and issues that you feel like need more awareness when it comes to them?
The greatest message I would like to get out to people whenever you're getting a pet is always do your research. Do your research. I would say, for example, with pigs, probably 90% of the people that come to us wanting a pig will go away and won't get one, because they've come to us and done their research. And I'll tell them, this is how high the fencing needs to be. You can't keep one pig. They're very sociable creatures. You have one pig and they'll be very bored, and they're very destructive on their own. This is what they'll do to your lawn. They'll turn your lawn into a quagmire in less than a day. But they do make amazing pets. They're highly intelligent, super clean, brilliant creatures. So the first thing to do is do your research. Know exactly what you're taking on, so you're not one of those people that's needing to give up the pet because you didn't realise how much is involved, the cost that's involved in looking after that animal. Make sure you do it properly, so your animal is neutered, it's vaccinated, it's wormed, it's chipped, or they are. And then, most important, is go to a rescue centre. A proper rescue centre. Lots of places can call themselves a rescue. I know places that call themselves a rescue and breed. That's not rescuing animals. So there is no legal definition of a rescue, but there is. We're a registered charity, so we are very tightly regulated, and we have to conform to lots of criteria. So go to a proper recognised rescue that's got a good reputation, because not only are you saving that animal's life, because rescues are always full, you're saving that animal's life. Not just that, they will give you really good advice. That animal has been health checked, it would have been neutered and vaccinated. But then you're creating space for that rescue to take on another animal. So always go to a rescue.
And what do people need to be aware of when it comes to wildlife?
A lot of calls we get for wildlife is people have maybe jumped in too soon. They've picked something up, they've touched something when they should have left it. So with wildlife, I would say generally is always get advice before you interfere, if at all possible. So if you see an animal and it's clearly injured and suffering, if that animal is definitely suffering, you've got an animal that's lying on the floor, it's bleeding, there's feathers everywhere, yes, it needs rescuing. Other than that, if you don't touch it, and sadly we get a lot of calls where people have interfered and it's too late. I'll give you an example. So last year, some guy had picked up what he thought was 6 abandoned kittens. He took them home, they smelled, so he bathed them, then he brought them to us, and there were 6 fox cubs. So we have people that pick up baby deer and bring them to us. Oh, I found this baby deer, it was abandoned. No, deer don't. They leave their young, the fawns, in long grass or to hide. They'll go off and feed all day long, then they'll come back to their babies. It's very, very rare they get abandoned. By the time you've touched it, it's too late. So for us, that's a massive undertaking. We've got to hand rear that fawn, we've got to rewild it, make sure it stays wild, and because they're a herd animal, we've got to move it on to another rescue. So unless you are 100% sure that animal is injured, don't touch it, don't interfere, but get help, get support. And ultimately, there's no point in picking up an animal unless there's somewhere for it to go. There's very few people rescuing wildlife. Everybody who does are volunteers. So if you pick up an animal and put it in a box and then phone around and nobody can take it, it's going to suffer and die anyway. So leave it in the wild, seek advice, and if an animal does need rescuing, find somewhere for that animal to go.
And finally, what are your hopes for the future here at the shelter?
We've grown year on year. We're successful. We've grown in terms of the amount of land we've got, in terms of the facilities. We've now got a fully equipped large wildlife hospital. The number of animals we rescue has grown. So our long-term plan is to grow and grow. We've got to the stage where we physically can't take on any more animals because we do rely on volunteers. And the nature of volunteering is things crop up, people don't turn up, and then it can get very challenging. So for us, the only way we can continue to grow is to have 1 or 2 key staff so that then we can coordinate things better. We've always got people on hand when we're short of volunteers, but that will allow us to grow and rescue more animals.
So wasteful.
Yeah.
Like a Brussels, don't you? It's the urine stains, that's the problem, yeah. Because he's blinding it all the time.
So who do we have here?
So this is Jamie. He came to us actually just over a week ago. A bit of a tragic story, but I suppose really with a happy ending. What happened was somebody was driving along the road and they saw him being hit by another car. They stopped, grabbed him. They couldn't find out where he'd come from. There was no obvious place he'd come from. So took him straight off to the vets, emergency vets. They checked him over and they x-rayed him. Didn't see any particular major injuries. The problem with him is he's got a bit of trauma around his head, that's quite quite minor, but he's got no use of his rear legs, so he's paralysed. Being a normal vet, they don't deal with farm animals. They couldn't keep him in. We were contacted. So we went out to get him, and we've got him on anti-inflammatory pain relief. We've had a specialist vet come out to check him over. The positive thing with him is that he, although he can't use his back legs, he has got what's called deep pain. So he can pinch the legs and he feels it. He retracts them slightly, and his actual reflexes work. So that shows there is some nerves, there is some feeling in those legs. So the long-term prognosis is fairly good. We think it could be caused by either a prolapsed disc pushing on the sciatic nerve or what's called a hematoma, a burst blood vessel. Being young and he's still growing, if that is the case, if it's one of those two scenarios, then the prospects are very good for him. And although it's a tragedy, you've got to remember he's a lamb. So in 6 months' time, well, when he was 6 months old, which is probably in about 4 or 5 months, he would have gone for slaughter. He'd be on somebody's plate. So this injury has saved his life, because with us, no matter what happens, as long as he's got quality of life, he'll still be with us. Even if he doesn't regain the use of the legs, he will. We'll get wheels for him, just like you can with a dog. There's many sheep that live great lives on wheels, but we are optimistic. We do think he could well make a full recovery.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Oh, you know about that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a sweetie, aren't you?